Yeah, live stream ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ.
ನಾಳೆತಾ ಸರಿ ಸರಿ ಓಕೆ
ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ so how many of you were there on demo class? History demo. I think we did it like some 20 days back, right? We are not there. No. Okay. So yeah. So again, if we talk about the syllabus, right? The ancient history and medieval history syllabus is vast. The entire history syllabus is vast. Okay. Right. So including modern history, it may take around 100+ hours. Okay. But we'll discuss ancient and medieval only currently. Right. We'll see later on about modern history. Right. And if you look at the question paper, right, so sometimes they have asked 6 to 7 questions in prelims from ancient and medieval. Okay. Right. And sometimes only 4 to 6 questions from ancient only. Right. Some 2 to 3 questions from medieval. And sometimes only 1 or 2 questions. Right. And sometimes they focus, right, so mostly on modern history instead of ancient and medieval. But we should not take a chance, right? We should be prepared for ancient and medieval, right? And that too, it's very minute details, right? So even though if they ask, it should be conceptual based question or about very minute detail. Okay. Right. As many of you were absent, so on that day, right? So again, just brief. About the syllabus or the topics, right, which we will cover in ancient and medieval. Okay. Right. So first of all, we'll be discussing about the prehistory. Okay. So what is history? First of all, what is history? Inquiry into the past. Okay. Study of past. Right. So study of past So focusing on basically society, right? So religion, right? Economy. Okay. So study of past. So history, right? So what is prehistory? So prehistory is basically study of past. So before the invention of writing. Okay. Right. We know that. So what we know, right? Or how we reconstruct history, right? So there are different sources. For example, coins are one of the sources. So inscriptions are another sources. Okay, right? So then archaeological survey of India. So they conduct, right? So digging, right? So coins, inscriptions, right? So inscriptions are nothing but written records. ಸೊ ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ರು? ಹಾಳೆಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾವ ಹಾಳೆಗಳು? ಎಲೆಗಳು ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಪೇಪರ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವಾಗ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎಲೆಗಳು. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೊತ್ತು ಉಳಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಆರ್ ಇವನ್ ಆನ್ ಕಾಪರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ಸ್, ಓಕೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅದು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ like 5,000 years back, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ ಒಂದು 5,000 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ, right? So there was no knowledge of writing, there was no knowledge of how to write basically, right? So study of past before the invention of writing, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇತ್ತು, ಸೊ ಆ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಪ್ರೀ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಪ್ರೀ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಫ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್, ಸೊ ಬರೆಯೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾದ ಮೇಲೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೇನು ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ಸೊ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್, ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಫ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಏನ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಷನ್ ಝೋನ್ ಇದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಇನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಇನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಏನ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಷನ್ ಝೋನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ರೈಟ್, ಇನ್ನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನ್ ಬರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹರಪ್ಪನ್ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್, right? So they used to maintain, or they used to write with pictures, so not with words. So adana proto history anta karitare. Okay, right? So prehistory andre before invention of writing, right? History means study of past after invention of writing, and transition zone is basically proto history. Okay, right? So proto history, right? And the prehistory phase alli we'll be studying about lithic stages. Okay, so lithic means stone, ಅಥವಾ stone age ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಶಿಲಾಯುಗ. Okay, so stone age, right? Which means the tools used by human beings so were made up of stones, so not any metal, right? So not iron, right? So not bronze, but only stones, stone ages. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಲಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್, ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಿಸೋಲಿಥಿಕ್, ನಿಯೋಲಿಥಿಕ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಚಾಲ್ಕೋಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಅಂತ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಇನ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೀ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಫೇಸ್. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್, ಅಥವಾ ಹರಪ್ಪ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೊಹೆಂಜೊದಾರೋ, ಆರ್ ಹರಪ್ಪನ್ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್. ಎಸ್, ಎಸ್, okay, or bronze age. Okay, right? So bronze age, so basically they were experts in making, right? So bronze articrafts. Okay, so bronze casting anta kuda karitivi. So Indus Valley civilization, so Indus Valley civilization mele kuda KPSC mains alli hagu UPSC mains alli halavu sala question kelidare, right? So for example, differentiate, right, Indus Valley civilization and Vedic civilization anta. Okay, right? So yeah, so Indus Valley civilization, so idralli how the Indus Valley people used to live, so basically society. Okay, so how was their economy? So alli enadru religion itta, so temple construction enadru agta itta, right? Or how they used to live, in which kind of houses, how was the town planning? Okay, so different ondu seals ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, right? Harappan seals anta karitivi, right? So we'll discuss about these topics in Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization. So then comes the Vedic, era or Vedic phase anta. Okay, right? So Vedic era or Vedic phase, right? So ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ವೇದಿಕ್ ಎರಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೆಸರು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಂಡೋ ಆರ್ಯನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ. Okay, right? So ಇಂಡೋ ಆರ್ಯನ್ phase, right? So why it is called as Vedic era means the reconstruction of history, right, is based on the Vedic texts. Okay, so ವೇದಗಳಿದೆ, right? So 4 Vedas, right? So basically Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, right? And their Samhitas, right? So Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads, okay, right? ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಸ್ಮೃತಿ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, right? So ಧರ್ಮ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ or ಧರ್ಮ ಸೂತ್ರ, right? So Manusmriti, right? So Puranas, so epics, Mahabharata, Ramayana and all, right? So Vedic literature ಮೇಲೆ ಏನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ ರೀಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, joined? Yes. Okay. So reconstruction of history based on Vedic text and that phase. So in 1500 ಇಂದ 500 BC ತನಕ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದನ್ನ ವೇದಿಕ್ ಎರಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, right? And ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇಮ್. So how was the society, right? So ರಾಜ ಇದ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ರಾಜ ಇದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಯಾವ ತರ ರಾಜನ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ತರ ಒಂದು ಹೆರಿಡಿಟರಿ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇತ್ತ ಅಥವಾ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವುಮನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಈವನ್ ಟುಡೇ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್, right, on women, right? And even today many families, they don't allow their daughter to choose the life partner of her own choice. How was the situation at that time, right? Was she really discriminated, right? And how was the society overall, right? You again caste system ide. So caste system Vedic period allu itta ಅಥವಾ Vedic period alli ಹೇಗೆ ಹುಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತು? Okay, so initial agi just varna system ittu. So varna system was to discriminate, so differentiate the color. Okay, so later on it became the basis of occupation. So based on the occupation or based on the varna, occupation was decided. Okay, right? So that ಮೇಲೆ later Vedic ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So later Vedic ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು, right? So tribal society ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಂಥದ್ದು ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, right? So kingdom ಗಳು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ, right? So that Vedic era. Okay, so after Vedic era, the first kingdoms of India, so Maha Janapadas. Okay, so totally 16 Mahajanapadas ittu, right? So 600 BC in the 300 BC tanka. And in the same time Buddhism and Jainism also started. Okay, so Buddhism, Jainism ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವಾಗ ರಿಲಿಜನ್ ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ. So it was just a social reform movement, right? So ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣಿಕಲ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, right? So ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೊಸ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಬೇಕು. So that we want to join. So people also supported, but later on that became a different religion itself. Okay, right? So Mahajanapadas and the first kingdoms, right? For example, the Magadhan Empire. Okay, right? So Haryanka dynasty, right? So Shishunga dynasty. So Nanda, Alexander the Great, right? India ge attack ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, okay, ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ನಾರ್ತ್ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ ಇನ್ವೇಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಸೊ ಯಾವ ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಇತ್ತು, right? So Nandas basically. So Alexander got news that Nandan hatra, right, 40,000 ಆನೆಗಳಿದೆ, right? 50,000 infantry soldiers ಇದೆ, right? So if I mess it with Nandas, right, so then there are heavy chances that I will be defeated, then I will lose this title. Okay, so Alexander went back, okay, from the northwestern frontier itself. There are other reasons also, Okay, so Mahajanapadas, right? So then Buddhism and Jainism, right? So Buddhism and Jainism, right? So Buddhist literature basically, okay? So Nikayas or Pitak, Sutta Pitak, Abhidhamma Pitak, Vinaya Pitak, so yenide, right? So then Buddha, right? So eightfold path, right? So Buddha's eightfold path to achieve nirvana, okay, right? Then the different sects of Buddhism, right? So Mahayana andrenu, Hinayana andrenu, Vajrayana andrenu, right? So what are Chaityas? What are Viharas? Right? So then Jainism, right? So how Jainism started, right? So Nirvana anta Buddhism al barutte. So Kaivalya, right? So Jainism al barutte. Eradu same. Atho Buddhism and Jainism ge ಏನು difference ಇದೆ, right? So basically Buddhism, right? So they believed in God, right? But Buddhism never believed in God, but Jainism believed in God, but they placed God below the Jina. Jina in the sense the Mahavira Jaina. Okay, right? So below the Jina. Okay. And Jainism, right? So different sects of Jainism, right? So basically Digambaras, Shwetambaras, okay. And also Indian school of philosophy. Okay, other Indian schools of philosophy, right? So Samkhya Andrenu, Yoga school of philosophy en heಳುತ್ತೆ. So Nyaya school of philosophy en heಳುತ್ತೆ, right? Then Vaisheshika, so Mimamsa, right? So that we'll discuss here, Buddhism, Jainism, and Indian school of philosophy. Okay. So then the Mauryan Empire. Okay. So Mauryan Empire. Ashoka, Chandragupta Maurya, right? So Ashoka, the first emperor of India, right? So basically who had control over entire India up to the southern boundary of Karnataka. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಶೋಕನ್ ಒಂದು ರೂಲ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅಂಡ್ ಅಶೋಕನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ ಸನ್ನತಿ, right, on the river bank of Bhima in Gulbarga district, Chitapur, right? So that is the only place where Ashoka's image has been found. Okay, right? So Mauryan Empire, right? So Chandragupta Maurya, right? So Bindusara, Ashoka, and especially Ashoka's administration, right? So how they were able to control entire India, right? And so different departments, Saptanga Rajya ant kariತೀವಿ, Saptanga Rajya, right? So different officials for different purposes, right? And why Ashoka quit violence, and how Ashoka started Dhamma. So previous year mains question. So explain Ashoka's Dhamma, right? So Dharma or Dhamma, right? So that is the Pali language. Okay, Dhamma, Dharma, Sanskrit. Okay, so Mauryan Empire. After the decline of Mauryan Empire, right? So there was instability in the Indian subcontinent. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, right? So this became chaotic, right? So chaotic situation. Okay, right? So after Mauryan Empire, many foreign invasions started. Okay, so ಈಗ ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾಂಡರ್ ಇದ್ದ. ಸೊ ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾಂಡರ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಅಕ್ವೈರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಏರಿಯಾ, ರೈಟ್, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಜನರಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ದೇ ಸೆಟಲ್ಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್ ದೋಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಬಿಕೇಮ್ ಇಂಡೋ-ಗ್ರೀಕ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇಂಡೋ-ಗ್ರೀಕ್ಸ್, right? So Indo-Greeks in the sense they got assimilated in the Indian culture, even though they were Greeks, right? And also they contributed a lot to a new type of architecture called as Gandhara style of architecture. Okay, right? So foreign invasions, so that is like from 300 BCE to 200 CE. Okay, right? So 300 BCE to 200 CE, right? Who all came? So first Indo-Greeks, right? Then Shakas, okay. So then Pratiharas or Pallavas, and finally Kushanas. Okay, so Kushanas. And when Kushanas were ruling over India, right, even the Central Asian countries were part of India at that time. Okay, right? So Central Asian countries, Yuvatina, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Tajik, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Idelva. So that was also under the control of the Kushanas. Okay, right? And how they contributed, right? So Kushanas, Shakas, and all their contribution to the, right? So Indian culture. So plus 300 BCE to 300 CE in South India. Okay, right? So 300 BCE to 300 CE in South India. So it is called a Sangam period or Sangam age, right? So Sangam assemblies were held during this period, and a lot of Tamil literature, right, so has been compiled. Okay, so Tamil literature, so Sangam period only. Okay, and there were three kingdoms: Chola, Chera, and Pandya. Okay, so Chola, Chera, and Pandya, that we will discuss here, right? And along with that, Satavahanas also. So then Guptas and Vakatakas. Okay, so Guptas and Vakatakas. So Guptas, Gupta Empire, right? So it is called as the golden period of Indian history. So yake golden period of Indian history, and the temple construction started in this phase. Plus lot of contribution in the field of science, right? So basically Aryabhata, so Varahamihira, right? So all they belong to this phase. So that's why golden period of Indian history. So Guptas and Vakatakas, right? So the conquest of Samudragupta and Chandragupta too, right? And again Gupta's administration, right? So even though Gupta controlled entire India, but the administration was completely decentralized. So not centralized like the Mauryaans. Okay, so there were feudal rulers or subordinate rulers to look after the faraway territory. Okay, and finally, when the central authority became weak, so these feudal rulers started declaring independence. Okay, so again small principalities came up. Okay, right? So this was around the 5th century, right? So then the next phase will start. Okay, so this was your core ancient history. Okay, then the early medieval period. Right, so early medieval period. So in the 600 to 1200 CE. Okay, so 600 to 1200 CE. Right. So first 600 to 750. So in the north, Pushyabhutis and Maukharis anta. Right. So Harshavardhana. Have you heard of Harshavardhana? The last great Hindu emperor of India. Right. So 600 to 750. So Harshavardhana. Right. And in the south, the Badami Chalukyas and Pallavas. Okay, so Badami Chalukyas and Pallavas, 600 to 750 C. Okay, so then 750 to 1000. 750 to 1000. Right, it was called as the period of tripartite struggle. Andre ಮೂರು ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ಗಳಿತ್ತು. So 3 dynasties, right? So they were fighting among themselves. Okay, right? So one was Rashtrakuta, Gurjara Pratihara, and Palas. Okay, so Gurjara, Pratihara, and Palas, right? So these 3 kingdoms, they were fighting among themselves. So that's why it is called as the tripartite struggle. 750 to 1000. Okay. So then 1000 to 1200, the period of confusion, right? There were Chauhans, Chandelas, and Paramaras in the north. Okay, and from 850 to 1200, Cholas, the mighty Chola Empire in the south. Okay, right? So 850 to 1200. North, Chauhan, Chandela, Paramara. Right, so Chauhan, Chandela, and Paramara. Okay, so especially that phase is known for Islamic invasion also. Okay, Muhammad Ghazni, Muhammad Ghori. So first Muhammad Ghazni vartane, right? So Ghazni's intention was to just loot India, but Ghori intention was different, right? So Ghori wanted to establish rule in India, so that continuous resource sigta irutte, right? So from that I can use those resources to fight war in Central Asia. Okay, that's how Islamic conquest started. Okay, and 850 to 1200 ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು south ಅಲ್ಲಿ Chola Empire, Chola Kingdom, right? So Raja, Rajadhiraja, right? So Rajendra. Okay, so then after 1200, right, the medieval period will start. Okay, okay, so 1200, after 1200 till 1526, till the Mughals came, right? So that was period of Delhi Sultanate. Okay, so Delhi Sultanate, right? So Delhi Sultanate, there were 5 different dynasties. So first one was called as slave dynasty. Slave ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು basically ಒಂದು military slaves ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. So slave dynasty. So then comes the Khalji, Alauddin Khalji, right? So then comes the Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Okay, then finally the Sayyid dynasty, right? So Tughlaq time ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ Taimur. Okay, right? So ಯಾರು Taimur? ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ ಕರೀನಾ ಕಪೂರ್ ಮಗ ಅಂತ, right? So they kept the name Taimur only. Okay, another kid's name is Jahangir, right? So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ತುಂಬಾ. So Taimur invaded India, right? So Taimur was basically ancestor of Mughals, Babur. So Taimur was the ancestor of the Babur. Okay, so Mughal time, Tughlaq time ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ Taimur attacked India. Okay, And Taimur also left a general here. So that started a Sayyid dynasty in that very short period of time, right? Then finally there was last dynasty called as Lodi dynasty, right? So Sikandar Lodi, right? So Bahlul Lodi, Ibrahim Lodi, right? So Ibrahim Lodi, right? Our Afghani nobles. So only Lodis are the only Afghani nobles. So Bakiorella Turkish nobles, Turkey in the Bondoro. Okay. So this Ibrahim Lodi, right? Tumba arrogant agidda. So never respected any king or even any noble. So they can plan ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So Ibrahim Lodi, right? Ibrahim Lodina ಸೋಲ್ಸ್ಬೇಕು. So ಹೆಂಗ್ ಸೋಲ್ಸ್ಬೇಕು? ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಬರ್ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅವ್ನು ಕರ್ಸ್ಬಿಡೋಣ. Right? So ಬಾಬರ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಬ್ರಾಹಿಂ ಲೋದಿನ ಸೋಲ್ಸ್ತಾನೆ. So ನಮ್ಗೆ, right? He will give India as a gift and go. So our own Indian people, right? And one of the cousin of Ibrahim Lodi called as the Daulat Khan Lodi, an Indian king, right? So Rana Sanga of Mewar, Rajput, right? So both of these people thought that Babur will come and he will defeat Ibrahim Lodi and he will go back by giving India as a gift. Why Babur will go? Babur is coming from Afghanistan. So what is there in Afghanistan? Except some opium poppy, right? Or some, right? So dry fruits, right? So rest of Afghanistan is cold desert, right? So nothing is there in Afghanistan, right? So Babur was also waiting, right? Because Babur also wanted to shift towards India and he got the opportunity, right? So defeated Ibrahim Lodi and then he refused to go back. He stayed in India and he fought war with the Rana Sangha of Mewar and all, Daulat Khan Lodi. So they all were defeated. And Mughal Empire came to India in 1526, right? And in Mughal Empire, we will be discussing different kings, basically, right? The contribution of Babur, right? So then Humayun, right? So Humayun, basically, Humayun andre fortunate anta. But Humayun was the most unfortunate ruler in India. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಅಪ್ಪ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಕ್ವೈರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಹುಮಾಯೂನ್ಗೆ. ಬಟ್ ಹುಮಾಯೂನ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಐತಿ ಇವಾಗ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಸೋಲಿಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ರೈಟ್? ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಜನ. ಥ್ರೂಔಟ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಹುಮಾಯೂನ್ ಫಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕನ್ಸೋಲಿಡೇಷನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ಶೇರ್ ಶಾ ಸೂರಿ, ರೈಟ್, ಹಿ ಕಿಕ್ಡ್ ಹುಮಾಯೂನ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಸೊ ಬಾಬರ್ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದ ಆಚೆ. ಓಕೆ, so then after the death of Sher Shah Suri, Humayun came back to India with the help of, right, so the wazir, okay, right, so Bahram Khan, right? Then Humayun, on one fine day, he was studying in his library and he fell down from the staircase and hit, right? So throughout his life, he fought for the kingdom and everything went away from his hand, right? He became a prince without a kingdom. Right, he came back and he died. Okay, so that's why most unfortunate. Okay, so Humayun, then his son Akbar, and Akbar is also known for the tolerance, right? Akbar is called as the medieval Ashoka. Okay, so Ashoka's tolerance and Akbar's tolerance are, right, so compared here. So plus Akbar knew about Rajputs. Right, if we use Rajputs in a better way, they can prove themselves to be good soldiers. Okay, so that's why he always maintained good relationship with Rajputs, right? So that's why he married a Rajput princess also, right? So Jodhabai. So not only Jodhabai, many Rajput princes were there, right? So Akbar's contribution, Akbar's administration, especially in Delhi Sultanate, we will be studying about administration of Alauddin Khalji. Right, even though Alauddin Khalji, right, is referred as one of the most cruel sultan, but his administration was up to date. Okay, right. So Akbar's administration, right, and especially Mansabdari system. So they asked many times about this Mansabdari system in Akbar's administration. Okay, so then his successors, Jahangir or Salim Anarkali. Right, so Jodha Akbar, Salim Anarkali. So basically, Salim, another name of Jahangir. Okay, right. So this Jahangir was basically ಅಯ್ಯಾಶಿ, ಸೊ ಐಷಾರಾಮಿ ಜೀವನ ನಡೆಸುವಂತ ಜಹಾಂಗೀರ್, right? And yeah, what were the developments during Jahangir, right? So plus next the Shah Jahan, right? Contribution of Shah Jahan, for example Taj Mahal, right? So Red Fort, right? And gardens especially, and Aurangzeb's policies. So ಯಾವ ತರ ಔರಂಗಜೇಬ್, right, ಒಂದು ಹಿಂದೂಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ, right? So how was the Aurangzeb policy towards Hindus? Okay, so then Aurangzeb's policy in Deccan, right? So ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ 14th century, right? So ತುಗ್ಲಕ್ ವೀಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So ತುಗ್ಲಕ್ ವೀಕ್ ಆದಾಗ, right, so the subordinates of Tughlaqs, they declared independence, and few among them was the Bahmani Sultanate, right, and Vijayanagara kingdom under Harihara and Bukka, right? So we will study about Vijayanagara kingdom also and Bahmani kingdom also before studying the Mughal empire, right? So up to Aurangzeb, so Mughal empire is considered as the early Mughals. So after Aurangzeb, they are called as later Mughals. Okay, right? And after Mughals, we will be studying about Marathas. Okay, the early Marathas, right? How Shivaji came to prominence, right? So Shahaji, Shivaji, Sambhaji, Shahu, and how the Peshwa started. Okay, right? And Marathas were also, there was no unity among Marathas after some time. So they were also disintegrated into 4 to 5 branches, right? And few of them actually supported Britishers against, right? So another Maratha clan and all, but that is there in modern history. But till the rise of Maratha Empire, we will discuss in medieval. Okay, so these will be the broader topics. Okay, right? It may take, right, so 25 or 30 classes, right? But even though if it takes more classes also, we will do. But however, all these topics will be covered. Okay, so at least 10 topics cover ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? Right? And once we complete 1 or 2 topics, right, again as we discussed for science previous year questions, right, we will discuss previous year questions for ancient and medieval history also. Done. Anything left? Books. Okay, so for ancient and medieval, Poonam Dalal Dahiya, McGraw Hill Publications. Poonam Dalal. Okay, so IPS, she herself is an IPS. Okay, and she published many books, ancient and medieval history, and it's actually good. Language is easy. So one more textbook, Tamil Nadu State Board 11th history. Tamil Nadu State Board 11th class. Okay, and 6 to 12th NCRTs are mandatory. That's why I'm not mentioning it. Right, then 11th NCRT textbook for fine arts. Okay, it's a red color textbook, right? So 11th standard NCRT textbook for fine arts. Okay, and 11th century, one more topic I think I missed, that is Kalyani Chalukyas. Okay, so that also we'll discuss, Kalyani Chalukyas, especially their contribution towards the art and literature. Okay, yes, ancient medieval ಎರಡು ಇದೆ, ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. Okay, so Poonam Dalal ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ancient medieval ಎರಡು ಒಂದರಲ್ಲಿ. Okay, right, 6 to 10th ಓದ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಓಲ್ಡ್ NCRT 11th standard, ancient and medieval. Okay. So 11th and 12th standard. So 12th only modern history is there. So 11th only ancient and medieval separate is there. Okay. Right. So that also you can read. So basically it is very bulky. Right. So actually, but basic sigutte. Okay. And yeah, so you have to read these books plus slides. Right. And slides only especially ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನೇ ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಪೂನಂ ದಲಾಲ್ ದಾಹಿಯಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಪ್ಲಸ್ 11th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ NCERT ಇದು 11th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ರೀಡ್ 4 to 5 times, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಅ ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್. ಸೊ ತುಂಬಾ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹಬ್ಬ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇದೆಯಾ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್. So I will start the first topic. So prehistory. Visible? So this is just introduction about history. Right? So history is basically study of past. Okay, which throws light on various, right? So past events of significance, right? And before the invention of writing, so it is prehistory. So after the invention of writing, it is called as history. Okay, so people came to know about writing, the art of writing, right? And the credit to discover or study the Indian prehistory, right? So goes to Robert Bruce Foote. Okay, right? So Robert Bruce Foote, right? So English basically, right? So he is considered as the father of Indian prehistory. Okay, right? So father of Indian prehistory, Robert Bruce Foote. Okay, right? So history is study of past, right, which throws light on past events of significance, which are important events. Okay, and study of past before invention of writing is prehistory. So study of past after invention of writing is history. And the first person to study the Indian prehistory is Robert Bruce Foote. Okay, right? And he discovered first Paleolithic tool. Pallavaram, right? So Pallavaram hand axe. Okay, right? So stone tool, right? So Pallavaram hand axe. It was the first, right? So tool, prehistoric tool to be discovered in India, right? So Pallavaram hand axe. Okay.
So what is that?
Sorry, Pallavaram is the place, right, in Andhra Tamil Nadu border. Okay, so hand axe means a stone tool like this, right, for cutting purpose. Right, so hand axe from Pallavaram and cleaver from Attirapakkam, okay, Tamil Nadu. Okay,
Even this
stone tool only, okay, for chopping purpose. Hand axe and cleaver. Okay, so the credit for studying the prehistory or Indian prehistory goes to Robert Bruce Foote, and he discovered hand axe from Pallavaram and a cleaver from Attirapakkam. Okay, so Indian Stone Age, right? So Indian Stone Age, or it is also called as Lithic stage. Okay, right? So Lithic stage. So Lithic is nothing but Stone Age. Okay, right? So Indian Stone Age, so can be divided into 3 stages. Okay, so based on the settlements, based on the type of stone tools they used, right? So based upon the technology. Okay, so almost from 5 lakhs BC to 10,000 BC, right? So 5 lakh BCE to 10,000 BCE. So it is called as Paleolithic stage. Okay, right? So Paleolithic stage. So in the 5 lakh BC in the 10,000 BC tanka, right? The time period perfect agide anta helike agalla, right? So at some time, in some areas, right? So still Paleolithic was going on, but in some areas already Mesolithic started. Okay, so just for reference purpose, right? So from 10,000 to 6,000 BC, it's called as Mesolithic stage. Okay, so 10,000 to 6,000 BC called as Mesolithic. Okay, then 6,000 to 1,000 BC is called as Neolithic. Okay, so Muru, right? So Indian Stone Ages only 3 different phases is there. So first phase ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ Paleolithic stage ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, right? So 5 lakhs to 10,000 BCE. So second phase ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು Mesolithic phase, right? So 10,000 to 6,000 BCE. And last one ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು Neolithic stage ಅಂತ. Okay, so Neolithic ಅಂದ್ರೆ 6,000 ಇಂದ 1,000 BCE ತನಕ. Okay, right? But this time division is not perfect, right? But it is a broad categorization. Okay, so broad categorization. Right. So first one, the Paleolithic age. Okay, so Paleolithic age, right? So Paleolithic geographical area yellittu. Okay, so early Stone Age anta kuda kariti, Paleolithic age, right? So yelli, which geographical area, right? So throughout India except the Gangetic basin. Okay, right? Except the alluvial plains of Ganga, right? So basically was spread practically all parts of India except alluvial plains of Ganga. Second, alluvial plains of Ganga was thickly forested. Okay, the forest clear ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ iron tools ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, right? So yeah, so Paleolithic geographical area ಯಾವುದು? All parts of India except so Gangetic basin, right? And what are the other characteristics of this phase? There is no knowledge of agriculture, right? ಯಾವ ತರ ಒಂದು agriculture production ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, right? And no house building, right? Pottery or any metal. So metal ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ knowledge ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ನಾವು. Okay, so Paleolithic people, so basically they were hunters and gatherers. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು? ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗ್ಯಾದರಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಏನ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಅದನ್ನೇ ತಿನ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಫೈರ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದೇರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್, ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್, ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಪಾಟರಿ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಕಲ್ಲಿಂದಾನೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾಪರ್ಸ್, ಕ್ಲೀವರ್ಸ್, ಸ್ಕ್ರಾಪರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಅಂಡ್ ವೇರ್ ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಲಿವ್, they used to live in caves and rock shelters. So caves alli irta idu, rock shelters alli, right? So food gathering and hunting. Okay, so Paleolithic people, right? So food gathering and hunting, so lived in caves. Agriculture knowledge illa, mane katta knowledge illa, right? So fire ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, so primitive man ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ, primitive man, right?
But the gravity is a nanophysics.
Yes, right? If we talk about 5 lakh years, they will come. Okay, right? So then the stone tools were unpolished, undressed. Okay, so stone tools ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, right? To differentiate the time period, right? So they were unpolished, rough stones. So hand axe, cleavers, choppers, blades, right? So these are the tools used by them. Okay. So hand axe, cleavers, choppers, right? So blades, burins. Okay. And they were made up of quartzite rock. So that's why they are called as quartzite men. Okay. Right. So quartzite rock, that's why they are called as quartzite men. Okay. Right. So Paleolithic. So paleo means old, lithic means stone. Okay. So these people, or the geographical area where Paleolithic people were found, right, are throughout India except the Gangetic Lake because of thickly forested area, right? And there was no knowledge of agriculture, right? So there was no knowledge of house building, right, or pottery or metal. So they were hunters and gatherers, right? And they used to stay in caves. Okay, so caves ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. And stone tools ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ rough ಆಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. So large in size, unpolished, right? So hand axe, cleavers, choppers, right? So were used. And ಅದು quartzite ಇಂದ ಮಾಡಲಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ quartzite men ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. Okay, right? So paleo, right? And paleo is again divided into 3 different stages, right? So early or lower Paleolithic, right? So early or lower Paleolithic. So 5 lakhs in the 50,000 BCE. So middle Paleolithic, 50,000 in the 40,000 BCE, right? So then late or upper Paleolithic, 40,000 to 10,000 BCE. Okay, right? So early Paleolithic andre 5 lakhs to 50,000. So middle Paleolithic means 50,000 to 40,000, right? And late or upper Paleolithic is 40,000 to 10,000. Okay. Then difference is there. So early, middle, and later Paleolithic, right? So based on the geographical area and also the stone tools. Okay. So early Paleolithic, right? So use of hand axe, chopper, cleavers, right? So mainly for chopping, digging, and skinning, right? And ಇದು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು geographical area. ಎಲ್ಲಿ Sohan Valley, right? So Sohan Valley now in Pakistan. So Kashmir, okay. So Thar Desert, ಎಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಇದೆ ಇದು? Northwest and western part of India. Okay. So northwest and western part of India, right? So Sohan Valley or Son Valley, which is now in Pakistan, Kashmir, right? So Thar deserts, so Rajasthan only. So Hiran Valley, Gujarat. Then rock shelters of Bhimbetka, Madhya Pradesh. And Belan Valley, right? So Uttar Pradesh. Okay, right? So hand axe, chopper, and cleavers, right? So stone tools, hand axe, choppers, and cleavers. And mostly early or lower Paleolithic people, right? So they resided in western and northwestern part of India. Okay. So early. Done. So don't write in detail, right? So she'll be giving slides. So science ella tagondra, science material tagondra hogli. Done. So this is chopper. There is a sharp edge on one side and there is a blunt on another side. So cut madlikke. So nimma knife iruttallwa. So knife ಎರಡು ಕಡೆ sharp ಇರುತ್ತಾ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ blunt ಇರುತ್ತಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ? So that you should know that from where side to cut. So ಅದೇ ತರ. Okay, to cut, right? To chop. So this is hand axe for digging purpose. Okay, right? So and ಯಾವುದೋ exam ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So hand axe used to have a broader base with a narrow tip. Okay, right? This is cleaver. So sharp on both sides. Right? So cleaver. Okay. Right. So these are some maps. But anyway, right, it will be there in slides. Then middle Paleolithic. Okay. So middle Paleolithic. So 50,000 to 40,000 BC. Right? So what is the difference, Andre? So basically the stone tools were made of flakes, right? So scrapers, borers, points, so especially blade like tools. Okay, so ಎರಡು ಕಡೆ ಶಾರ್ಪ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು tools ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. Okay, so that is the difference, right? So middle Paleolithic, right? And also the geographical area ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, right? So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೋನ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದೆ. So Narmada and Tungabhadra river valleys. Okay, so Narmada and Tungabhadra river valleys, right? And Potwar plateau. So Indus madhye, Jhelum madhye, and Sanghao cave nearby Peshawar, Pakistan. Okay, so middle Paleolithic, right? So established only in 1960. So this middle Paleolithic phase by H.D. Sankalia, right? The historian. They named Navasan industry, right? So Nevasa, because Nevasa was a site in Maharashtra. Okay, so Navasan industry. So middle Paleolithic. Okay, so middle Paleolithic. Right? So flake tools, right? Or stone tools made of flakes, right? So blade like tools, basically scrapers, borers, points. So Narmada ಮತ್ತೆ Tungabhadra river valley li kuda, right? So middle Paleolithic sites ಗಳಿದೆ. Okay. Then so these are the tools. So flakes, basically sharp on both sides, blade like tools, right? So scrapers. Okay. Then late or upper Paleolithic, right? So 40,000 to 10,000 BCE, right? So late or upper Paleolithic, right? So Paleolithic andre nenu? So paleo means old, lithic means stone, old stone age anta. Okay, right? So upper Paleolithic 40,000 to 10,000, right? So illi kuda parallel sided blades, burins, and some instances of bone tools. Okay, right? So bone tools were also used in the upper Paleolithic, right? Sites are especially in South and Central India, right? Upper Paleolithic sites, South and Central India, right? So illi Andhra Pradesh, so Karnataka, right? So Maharashtra, Central Madhya Pradesh, Southern UP, and Chota Nagpur plateau. So where is this Chota Nagpur plateau? Huh? Chota Nagpur, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha. Yeah. Okay. Right. So West Bengal. ಸೊ 4 ಮಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಛೋಟಾ ನಾಗ್ಪುರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟೋ, ರೈಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ದಿ ಮಿನರಲ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಬೋನ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅಟ್ ಕರ್ನೂಲ್ ಕೇವ್. ಸೊ ಕೇವ್ ಹೆಸರು ಮುಚ್ಚಟ್ಲ ಚಿಂತಾಮಣಿ ಕೇವ್ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಮುಚ್ಚಟ್ಲ ಚಿಂತಾಮಣಿ ಕೇವ್ where bone tools were found. Okay, and Homo sapiens appeared at the end of this phase. Okay, right. Upper Paleolithic time ali Homo sapiens appeared after that. See, right. So from where we are coming, right. So from using stone tools to cut, right, the meat or even fruits and vegetables, to using computer technology. Stone tools in the computer technology tanka bandidi, computer, right? So they used to carry stones. Now we are carrying phones. Then, so these are the tools. So burins, right? So blade-like structure and bone tools. Okay. So so Paleolithic. So once again, so Paleolithic means old stone age, right? So these people were not aware of agriculture, house building, so pottery, and even metal, right? So agriculture ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು? hunting ಮತ್ತೆ gathering, right? So they used to hunt animals and gather forest fruits and vegetables. Okay, and house building ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು? caves ಅಲ್ಲಿ, right? So caves and rock shelters. Okay, right. And at the end of Paleolithic, they came to know about fire. Okay, so fire, right? So based on the tools used and also the area, right? So they lived, right? It is again classified into 3 different phases. So early Paleolithic, middle Paleolithic, and upper Paleolithic or later Paleolithic. Okay, right? So characteristics ನೆನಪಿರಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. Characteristics ಏನು? agriculture knowledge ಇಲ್ಲ, house building knowledge ಇಲ್ಲ, so metal ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಏನೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, and pottery, so basically pot store ಮಾಡಿಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, right? ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ knowledge ಇಲ್ಲ, right? So nomadic people, so hunting and gathering, right? So staying in caves. Okay, and ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಔಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಗ್ಯಾಂಗೆಟಿಕ್ ಬೇಸಿನ್. ಸೊ ಗ್ಯಾಂಗೆಟಿಕ್ ಬೇಸಿನ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಓಕೆ, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ Mesolithic age. Right. So Mesolithic, elinda 10,000 to 6,000 BCE, right? So 10,000 to 6,000 BCE. So illi kuda hunting, fishing, food gathering mele depend agidda, but they started domesticating animals. Okay, so Mesolithic people started domesticating animals, right? And stone tools Paleolithically, right? So they used to be larger in size and rough shape. Okay, right? So Paleolithically, so larger stone tools plus rough stone tools, right? So here the size was reduced. Okay, right? And they were called as microliths, right? The size of stone tools reduced, right? And characteristics tools of this age were called as microliths. Microliths andre miniature size stone tools. Okay, so that is the major characteristic, right, of Mesolithic period. Okay, right? And alli Paleolithically quartz inda madalpattittu stone tools. So here crystalline silica, chalcodony, chert, right? So different stones. Okay, so microlith, right, is the characteristics of Mesolithic phase, right? And these microliths were not only used as tools, but they also made composite tools, spearheads and arrowheads. Okay, right? So composite tools, spearheads, arrowheads, sickles. Okay. So Mesolithic age alli, so people started domesticating animals along with hunting, gathering and fishing. Right, and stone tools size was reduced, right? And these tools were called as microliths. So microliths means miniature sized stone tools. Okay, so miniature sized stone tools, right? And they were made up of different stones basically, right? So crystalline, silica, shirt and all. And it was not only used as a tool, but also to make composite tools like spearheads, right? Arrowheads, right? And sickles. Okay. So microliths, right? So miniatured stone tools. Okay. So micro scale alli. So these are the different stone tools. So ಚಿಕ್ಕವರಿರುವಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ಈ ತರ ಕಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಆಟ ಆಡಿದೀವಿ ಅನ್ಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Okay. Then which are the main features, right, of the Mesolithic? So first of all, pottery is absent here in most of the sites, right? So in Mesolithic, pottery is absent in most of the sites, but in few sites like Langanaj in Gujarat, right, and Kaimur region of UP, some pots have been recovered. Okay, right. So pottery is absent in most of the sites. Okay. So the last phase of this site age saw the beginning of plant cultivation. Okay. The Mesolithic is basically called as pre-agricultural phase. Okay. Right. Only at the end of Mesolithic age, the plant cultivation started. That's what is called as pre-agricultural Mesolithic. Okay. So one more important point is the rock art paintings. Okay, right? So rock art paintings. Cave galalli. Right? So ಗೋಡೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಚಿತ್ರ ಬಿಡಿಸೋದು ಅಥವಾ ರೂಫ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಚಿತ್ರ ಬಿಡಿಸೋದು. Okay. So ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಚಿತ್ರ? So maybe ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಅನಿಮಲ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಟೇಸ್ಟಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನೆನಪಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಚಿತ್ರ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ರೈಟ್? So our hunting scenes or dancing scenes, right? So family scenes, right? So ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು pictures ಗಳನ್ನ, right? So they used to create, right? So early first rock art painting was discovered in Sohagi Ghat, Kaimur Hills, right? Then other rock art paintings are at Bhimbetka, right? In Madhya Pradesh, Bhimbetka caves anta. Then Kathotia anta, UP. Then Sambalpur and Sundargarh, Odisha. Okay. Sambalpur and Sundargarh, Odisha. Okay. So one microliths, so that is miniature sized stone tools, right? So one more is rock art painting, right? So rock art painting. So in Sohagi Ghat, initially found, and next in Bhimbetka, Sambalpur and Sundargarh in Odisha also. Okay. So what used to be there in rock art? So animals dominate the scenes, right? So deer, right? Rhino, buffalo, right? But no snakes are depicted on that. Okay. So rhino, buffalo, right? So deer, right? And burials and rock paintings only. So dancing scenes, family scenes, okay. And this gives us the development of religious practices as it reflect the division of labor on the basis of gender. Okay. So in hunting scenes, male figures. Okay. Right. So that is development of religious practices and also division of labor. Okay. Right. So some sites, Mesolithic sites. So one is in Bagor, right? So Rajasthan. Okay. So largest and best documented Mesolithic site. Okay. So Bagor. So Adamgarh in MP, right? So basically earliest evidence of domestication of animals. Okay. So Bagor in Rajasthan, Adamgarh in MP, and Mahadaha in UP, where bone artifacts are found. Okay. Right. So bone artifacts. Then in south, so basically the south of River Krishna, Tinne Valley in Tamil Nadu, so Birbanpur in West Bengal, okay, and Sanganakallu in Karnataka. So KPSC previous year question. Okay, so Bagor, Rajasthan, Adamgarh MP, Mahadaha UP. So Bagor is largest and best documented Mesolithic site. So Adamgarh, earliest evidence of domestication of animals, and Mahadaha, so bone artifacts. Okay. So these are the rock art paintings. Right here. Right. So basically hunting scenes are there. Right. So bull is there, second. And third is also hunting. Right. So fourth scene is rhino. Right. So there is a bird picture here. Okay. So avag paint madirodu innu ide. Right. So IAS ಅಥವಾ IPS ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, right? So you will be there for 3 months in Lavasna. Okay. Then they will take you for Bharat Darshan. So at that time you can visit all these places without your own money. The government will provide everything. So 5-star hotels, right? So AC train tickets and even air travel. Only if you clear the exam. Right? If you don't clear, then nobody will ask. Correct? Sanjay Alwa. If you don't clear, then nobody will ask. If you clear, everyone will ask. So success has many fathers. Failures don't. So success adre, hey, ivru nam hudgi pa. Hey, nam cousin magalre, nam hudgi, nam hudga. Sare ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. Right? ಯಾರು ಕೇಳೋದು ಇಲ್ಲ. Okay. So that's the society. So these are also some scenes. Okay. Right. Some map. So Langanaj in Gujarat. Right. So Bimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Chopani Mando in Uttar Pradesh. Right. So Birbanpur, West Bengal. Sanganakallu in Karnataka. Tuticorin, Tamil Nadu. Mesolithic sites. Okay. So people lived in huts, right? So basically they were not nomadic completely. They lived in huts, right? With made of huts were roughly circular or oval. Okay, right? Then finally, Neolithic site. Right? So Neo means new. Okay. So Neolithic, new stone age. Right? So food producing stage. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ hunting, gathering, correct? Right? But now they started producing agricultural crops, right? Or food producing stage, right? So yeah, so Neolithic age emerged around 8,000 to 6,000 BC, but in some places, right, it was as late as 1000 BC. Okay. So some important characteristics. So one is the advent of food production. Okay. So advent of food production, right? So cultivated land grew fruits, corn, ragi, horse gram, right? So cultivated crops, basically horse gram, right? So ragi, corn, and even the domesticated animals like cattle, sheep, and even goats. Okay, right? Then innovation in technology, stone tools, right? So paleolithically rough agirta iತ್ತು, right? So smooth agirta irliಲ್ಲ, ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, right? So here man innovated the production of stone tools, right? So such as polished, pecked, and ground stone tools. Okay, so polished stone tools, right? So pecked stone tools, right? So first is advent of food production, right? So for the first time, right, in Neolithic, people started producing food grains like ragi, horse gram, right? So corn, okay, and domesticated cattle, right? So sheep and goats, right? So plus they innovated the technology to produce the stone tools, right? So which were polished, pecked, and ground stone tools. Okay. Okay. So these are the different stone tools, right, in Neolithic. Okay, so polished stone tools andre ee tara, right? Then so advent of food production ಒಂದು, then innovation of technology, then invention of pottery. So Mesolithically ಎರಡು ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು pottery, but here on mass scale, right? So invention of pottery, right? They first made pottery by hand, then with the potter's wheel. Okay, so more type of pottery na produce ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So black burnished ware anta, right? Then gray ware anta, so ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಯಾವುದು matte impressed ware. Okay, right? So black burnished ware, so there was no color paint for that. Okay, so gray ware, then matte impressed ware, right? So on a large scale, pottery appeared in this phase. Okay. Right? So there is no pot painting on the pottery. So basically pottery is devoid of any painting. So miss agide. Okay. So then one more important characteristics is emergence of self-sufficient village communities. Okay. Andre munche tara nomadic athwa alli illi rock shelters alli irodalla, right? So basically they led a more settled life. Okay. So circular ಮತ್ತೆ rectangular houses alli irta idru, right? So they used to live in circular or rectangular houses which were made up of mud, not brick. Okay, brick irlilla, only mud, and they know how to make boats, and even they could spin cotton, wool, and weave cloth. Okay, so Neolithic. So Linda, 6,000 to 1000 BCE, right? So one though advent of food production. So for the first time they started cultivating crops like ragi, corn, right? And innovation of technology for stone tools, right? Then invention of pottery. So pot making through hands first, right? So then by potter's wheel. Okay. So the pottery. So black burnished ware, gray ware, and matte impressed ware anta. Right. So there was no painting on the pottery, it was plain. Okay. Then emergence of self-sufficient village communities, right? Which means they led a settled life. Okay. So lived in rectangular and circular houses, right, which was made up of mud, and they could spin cotton, and right, so they were aware of boat making also. Okay. Right. So some of the important Neolithic sites, right? So first of all, Burza home anta. Okay. Right. So Burza home, right? So here the domestic dogs were buried with their masters, which means they believed in life after death, right? So mostly dog ಬೇಕಾಗಿರಬೇಕು ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಂತ. Okay, right? So not only that, right? Even pots and all used to be there in the graves, right? So burials. Okay, right? So basically Burza home alli so ಏನide, a grave has been excavated where dog is buried with their master. And one more is Gufkaral. So Jammu and Kashmir alli, right? So Gufkaral ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು graveyards within the house itself. So can we do it today? So people will call us mad, or they will call us like we are doing some black magic. So ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಈ ಸಲ ಹೂತ್ತೀವಿ, right? So ನಮ್ ತಾತ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಮ್ಮ ನಮ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ 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 ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಗ್ರೇವ್ಯಾರ್ಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, right? So then you will be like you will be treated as an right alien by the society, right? ಇವನು ಯಾವಕ್ಕೋ ಸೈಕ್ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ಸೇರೋದ್ ಬೇಡ. But that time people were so broad minded. Yeah, you love your parents, right? You can bury them inside your house. Okay, so not a problem, right? So Burza home, Gufkaral, so Chirand, right? So in Bihar, so basically bone implements again, right? So then Karnatakadalli Maski, Brahmagiri, Piklihal, Hallur, Budihal. So Budihal is in Andhra Pradesh actually. Okay, so Maski, Raichur district, so Brahmagiri, so Piklihal, Hallur. Okay, and also the Tekkala Kota in Karnataka, right? So Hallur has proof for cattle herding and millet cultivation ante. Okay, right? So Hallur alli cattle herding ಮತ್ತೆ millet cultivation ge proofs ಇದೆ. So Budihal, community food preparation. Okay. So then Mehergarh, right? So Mehergarh in Baluchistan, the bread basket of Baluchistan. Even today Baluchistan is there, right? So part of Pakistan, but they are also demanding a separate state. Okay, Baluchistan, right? So Mehergarh in Baluchistan, Koldiava, right, in Belan Valley. Okay, right? So Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Iron Age settlements ಮೂರು ಇದೆ ಅಂತೆ ಕೋಲ್ಡಿಯಾವಾದಲ್ಲಿ, right? So Koldiava, south of Allahabad, earliest evidence of rice cultivation in the world. right? So earliest evidence of rice cultivation in the world. Right? Then Balan Valley in UP, right? All three phases of paleo settlements followed by Meso and Neolithic, right? So evidences are there. Clear? So paleo, Meso, Neo. So paleo, hunting, gathering. So no knowledge of agriculture, no house building, and even no domestication of animals. So rough, large stone tools made up of quartz. Okay. So Mesolithically, microliths, stone tools reduced in size, plus they are known for rock art paintings. Okay. Right. So rock art paintings. And at the end of the Mesolithic phase, right, so they started cultivating crops. Okay. Endally. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ pre-agricultural phase ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Pre-agricultural phase, right? And Mesolithic people, right? So they painted on rock walls and even on the, right? So roofs, right? So the animals dominated the scenes. Okay, right? Then Neolithic. So Neolithic is basically food production stage, right? So for the first time, they produced agricultural crops on a large scale like ragi, corn, okay, and even barley, right? So then they domesticated animals, right? Cattle, sheep, goats, okay. Then invention of technology for stone tools, so polished stone tools, right? So then pot making, right? So pot making initially through hands, then with potter wheels, right? So three types of pottery, so black burnished ware, gray ware, and matte impressed ware. And fourth characteristic was they lived a settled life, right? So they lived basically the self-sufficient village communities, right? So came into being. They lived in circular and rectangular houses which are made up of mud. Okay, and these are different sites, right? So Burza home, so known for the burial where master dog is buried with master. So Gufkral graveyard located within the house. Okay, then Maski, Brahmagiri, Piklihal, Hallur, Tekkalkota in Karnataka. So Mehergarh, Koldeava, Belan Valley. So these are the potteries, right? So devoid of any painting. Okay. Picture clear illa. Anyway. So Chalcolithic age, or also called as copper stone age. Okay, right? The first metal to be used by humans is copper. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಿತ್ತಲೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, right? So ಕೆಲವು ಜನರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ, right? And they say that if we drink water from the copper vessels, right? So immunity power will be boosted. Okay, right? So yeah, so 3000 BC to 500 C, which means Copper Age was contemporary of Indus Valley civilization and also Vedic period. Okay, so Copper Age was contemporary, or which means it was going parallel, right, with the Indus Valley civilization and also the Vedic period. Okay, right? The Chalcolithic marked the emergence of use of metal along with stone tools. So not only copper metal, but along with stone tools, right? So yeah, so first metal to be used was copper, right? But they knew other metals also, bronze, gold, and silver, but there was no idea of iron. Okay. So here you can see the contemporary of Harappan culture and also some pre-Harappan culture, right? And even the post-Harappan culture. Okay, right? So Chalcolithic period is contemporary of pre-Harappan, so Harappan and post-Harappan culture, right? And some prominent sites of pre-Harappan Chalcolithic culture are Ganeshwaranta, right? in Rajasthan and Kalibangan in Rajasthan. So Banawali in Haryana. So Kot Diji in Sindh. Okay. Right. So Chalcolithic. So stone along with copper. So copper was the first metal to be used by human beings, right? And this Chalcolithic period was contemporary of pre-Harappan, Harappan and post-Harappan cultures. Okay. Right. And example for pre-Harappan culture is Ganeshwar. Right. So Khetri mines of Rajasthan. Right. So Kalibangan and even Banwali, Fort Diji. Okay. Then right. So what are the other characteristics? Like domestication of animals. Okay, like the Neolithic and Mesolithic people. Okay. So domesticated cows, sheep, goats, and even pigs, but they hunted deer. Okay. Right. They hunted deer. Right. And these domesticated animals were not used for milching purpose, but they were slaughtered for meat. Okay. So even today, many tribal people, they do this. Yeah. Right. So they ate beef, but did not like pork. So Chalcolithic people ate beef, but not pork. And they were not acquainted with the horses. So horse riding ugly, horse use ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Okay. Right. So agriculture or domesticated animals. So agriculture. So what they produced? So wheat, rice, right? So as their staple food. So bajra, right? And pulses like lentil, black gram, green gram. Okay. And those people who were living on the eastern regions, right? Even today, Bengal, Bihar, right? So most of them, they rely on fish and rice. Okay. Right. So Chalcolithic people also domesticated animals, but they were slaughtered for meat, not for milching purpose. Right. And they produced, right? So wheat, rice as staple food, and also bajra, right? So pulses like lentil, so black gram, right? Even green gram. And the people on the east, they relied on fish and rice. Okay. Right. And these people, they practice slash and burn agriculture. So, slash and burn or jhum cultivation. Right. So first, what they will do? They will clear a patch of forest area. They will burn it. Right. The ashes are mixed into the soil. So then they start cultivating. Right. So they will cultivate for some 3 to 4 years. So as soon as the fertility of the soil decreases, they will move or shift from that area to another area. Okay. Right. So this is slash and burn. So in geography, it is there. Right. And there are different names for the slash and burn agriculture. Okay. So roka, ray, right? Jhum cultivation. Okay. So Chalcolithic. So here pottery was different. So Neolithically only black burnished ware. So grey ware, right? So plain pottery to illi black and red pottery. Okay, right? So black and red. So basically red ware mele black painting, right? So black and red pottery was, right? So most popular, right? So printed with white line design. Okay. So Chalcolithic people also used mud bricks only, so not the burnt bricks. Right, so Chalcolithic people lived on, or right, so they constructed houses with the mud bricks, not the burnt bricks. Okay. So these people also did not know the use of writing. Right, so writing ಬಗ್ಗೆ knowledge ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, even for Chalcolithic people. Okay. But they worshipped the images of earth goddess. Right. So basically they worshipped mother goddess. Right. And they were fond of ornaments, right, and decoration. So makeup ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, right, ornaments ಅನ್ನ use ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, right, especially ornaments made of shells and bones, right, and carried finely worked combs in their hair. Okay, right, so Chalcolithic people were fond of ornaments and decoration, so they used ornaments of shells and bones and carried finely worked combs. So bull was probably the symbol of their religious cult. Okay, so bull was the symbol of religious cult. Okay, right, so pottery was black and red, right, with painted with white line design. So they did not know the use of writing, but they worshipped the image of goddess, the mother, right, goddess basically. Right, they were fond of ornaments and decoration. Right, the ornaments were made up of shells and bones. Right, and bull was probably the symbol of religious cult. Okay. Right, and they manufactured beds of semi-precious stones, right, so carnelian, steatite, quartz, crystal. Okay, right, so haragalu. Okay, right, so with different semi-precious stones. Right, so the Chalcolithic sites: southeastern Rajasthan, so western MP, so western Maharashtra, right, and other parts of southern as well as eastern India. Okay, right, so Rajasthan alli ಇದೆ, southeastern Rajasthan, so MP, Maharashtra, and some parts of south and eastern India. Right, so yeah, there is a regional difference. Even today we have regional difference. Right, so geographical difference are there, so consumption ಮೇಲೆ ಇದೆ, right, and even the type of clothes we wear. Right, so for example, eastern India produced rice, so whereas western India produced barley and wheat. Even today, eastern India, the West Bengal, now rice bowl of India. So earlier Chhattisgarh was there. Right, so Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, they are all known for rice, and west is known for wheat. Right, so wheat and barley. Right, and one more characteristics: in Maharashtra, the dead were buried in the north-south direction. Okay, so dead were buried in north-south direction, but in South India it was in east-west direction. Okay, and Chalcolithic phase, right, so showed the beginning of social inequalities. Okay, social inequalities start agide ille. So again, chiefs lived in the rectangular houses and others in the circular houses. Right, so social inequality started. So chiefs lived in rectangular houses and normal other people lived in round huts. Okay. Okay. So important chalcolithic sites. Ahar, right, and Gilund in Rajasthan. Okay. So Ahar is smelting and metallurgy, right? So Gilund, occasional use of burnt bricks, but just you remember the names. That's it. Okay. So Ahar and Gilund. So Nevasa, Maharashtra, right? So Nauda Toli on Narmada, right? So cultivated almost all food grains. So largest chalcolithic sites. Yaudu? Nauda Toli. So then Daimabad, right? So Godavari Valley, largest number of bronze gods, right? So Songaon, Inamgaon, right? Then Kayatha, okay, and Malwa in Madhya Pradesh, right? So Songaon, Inamgaon, right? So these are the important, some more are there. Okay. So Ahar, Nauda Toli, Daimabad, right? So Songaon, Inamgaon, right? Ahar, Nauda Toli, Daimabad, Songaon, Inamgaon, Kayatha. Okay, just write the names. Okay. So these are the maps that you can check later on. So these is just for remembering purpose. Okay. So these are the sites, right? So Gilund, Ahar, right? So Kaita, Daimabad, Inamgaon, Songaon, right? So Brahmagiri also, right? So Chirand. Okay. So these are the lithic stages. So Paleo, Meso, Neo. So Paleo is basically hunting, gathering, right? So Meso, domestication of animals along with hunting and gathering. So Neo, food production stage. Okay. So Paleo, rough stone tools. So Meso, microliths. So Neo, polished stone tools. Okay. Right. And Paleo, people lived in caves. So Meso, people lived in huts. Right. And Neo, people in permanent settlement. Okay. Right. And Chalco, basically, the copper was used along with the stone, right? Or the first metal to be used by chalcolithic people, or the first metal to be used by humans is copper, right? So that's why the early chalcolithic sites are found near the Khetri copper mines of Rajasthan. Okay. So chalcolithic people, so basically they also domesticated animals, right? But it was for slaughtering purpose, not for milking purpose. Okay. And they cultivated crops. Yeah. Right. So Western, basically westerly, wheat and barley, easterly, rice. Right. So then they worshipped mother goddess. Right. Image worship is practiced there, but no signs of temples and all. Right. So then, yes. Huh? ಹೇಳಿ ರಿವಿಷನ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಹೇಳ್ರಿ. Use of ornaments. Yes. So made up of shells and bones. Right. So ornaments and decoration. They were fond of ornaments and decorations, and ornaments were made up of, right? So this bones and shells, and they also made beds, right, with different semi-precious stones, right? So carnelian, steatite. Okay. And we also discussed important sites. So you should go and revise. Right, so we'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll start with Indus Valley. Okay, ತುಂಬಾ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೀನಿ. ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿದೆ. Okay, right? So this very basic, and this topic is like a little bit boring, so that's why fast. Okay.